I'm eating Christmas dinner alone in front of 847 strangers on the internet. My oldest son just texted the family group chat, "Let the old man eat alone, he loves the drama." Laughing emoji. My youngest daughter replied, "Seriously, do we have to go? Old man's unbearable. Nobody wants to spend Christmas with him." I've never felt colder. Not sad, not angry, just cold. 847 people are watching me carve the first slice of turkey through a camera my young friend Jordan set up 30 minutes ago. The number keeps climbing. 912 now. 1,043. The comments are starting to flood in. "Why are you alone on Christmas?" I set down my knife, looked directly at the camera. "Let me tell you about the money first. But before we get to that, you need to understand how a 59-year-old chef in Seattle ended up live streaming Christmas dinner to strangers instead of eating with his family. It started 12 years ago when my wife Margot left me for her business partner. I didn't fight it, didn't ask for spousal support even though she was making more by then. Tech money beats chef money every time. I just wanted to keep my 3 kids close. Preston was 27 then, starting his banking career. Kieran was 24. Bouncing between opportunities. Sienna was 20, finishing college. They sided with her. Not openly, never said it. But I could tell. Poor Margot, stuck with a chef who smelled like garlic. I got the questions. "Dad, what did you do?" As if her affair was somehow my fault. Here's what I did. I raised them. While Margot climbed the corporate ladder, I was at soccer games, parent-teacher conferences, emergency rooms. I taught them to make scrambled eggs and tie their shoes and treat people with respect. I thought that meant something. Years before the divorce, when Preston was in high school, Kieran in middle school, Sienna in elementary, I'd turned down executive chef at Copper Creek Resort in Aspen, $180,000 a year. But my kids needed stability more than I needed prestige. So I stayed in Seattle. Taught cooking classes, wrote a food blog that somehow got a following, played chess with my buddy Gideon every Tuesday at Fletcher's coffee shop. I had friends, Roland and Connie, neighbors who actually showed up when you needed them. I wasn't lonely, but I missed my kids, not who they were now, who they used to be, when they thought I hung the moon. The number on Jordan's screen reads 1,647 viewers now. "The money," I say, pulling the camera closer to my face. "Let me tell you about the money." Preston called in 2019. Needed help with a house down payment. The Seattle market was brutal. He'd found a place in Ballard, perfect for him and his wife Vivian, and their kids Mason and Lily. But he was $85,000 short. "Just a loan, Dad. I'll pay you back." I gave it to him, drained my savings. Thought about my grandchildren needing a stable home. 3 years later, 2022, he called again. Emergency fund. Work was tight. Could I spare $35,000? Just temporarily. I pulled it from my retirement account, took the penalty. Total to Preston, $120,000. He never paid back a cent. Kieran was different. He had ideas. Always had ideas. A food truck concept, then a meal prep app, then a boutique coffee roaster. Between 2018 and 2023, I invested $60,000 in various ventures. Every single one failed. Not because Kieran wasn't talented, he was. Good palate, creative mind, but he couldn't finish anything. Lost interest halfway through. Blamed bad partners, bad timing, bad luck. Never blamed himself. Last September, he called. Needed $25,000 to keep his latest thing afloat. "This one's different, Dad. I can feel it." I gave it to him, against my better judgment. He stopped returning my calls 3 weeks later. Total to Kieran, $85,000. Then there's Sienna, my youngest. After the divorce, I overcompensated. Tried to make up for the broken home. She moved to Portland for her brand. Social media influencer. Posted photos of her perfect apartment, perfect outfits, perfect life. Turns out none of it was real. Her rent was $3,200 a month for a luxury building in the Pearl District. When her landlord called my emergency contact number, she was 3 months behind. I paid it. 14 months total. $44,800. Then the credit cards. 6 different times over 2 years. Maxed out. Couldn't make minimum payments. Would it ruin her credit? Between $2,000 and $5,000 each time. Another $20,000. Total to Sienna, $64,800. I pause. The viewer count has jumped to 2,091. Someone comments, "This is heartbreaking." Add it up, I say to the camera, to the strangers who are actually listening. 120,000 plus 85,000 plus 64,800. That's $269,800. 35 years of working in hot kitchens. My retirement. Gone. I lean back in my chair, the camera still recording. 3,400 viewers now. What I have left, I continue, my voice steady, is $4,600 a month, Social Security and a small pension from 35 years of working. Enough to live on. Not enough for emergencies. Not enough for the life I'd planned. I pick up my fork. And my kids? They never said thank you. Just kept asking for more, until they stopped asking, stopped calling altogether. A comment appears. Why aren't they there tonight? Good question, I say. Let me tell you about tonight. 2 weeks ago, I sent a message to our family group chat. Simple invitation. Christmas dinner at my place, 7 p.m. on the 24th. Would love to have everyone. I spent 3 days preparing after I sent it. Preston replied, maybe. Kieran sent a thumbs up emoji. Sienna didn't even open the message for 3 days. When she finally did, no response. I should have known right then. But I didn't want to know. So I made excuses. They're busy. The holidays are stressful. Maybe means yes, right? I bought a turkey from the Good Butcher on Pike Street, brined it for 48 hours with applewood smoke and brown sugar, made Margot's grandmother's cranberry sauce, the recipe with orange zest and bourbon that Sienna used to beg for, Yukon Gold mashed potatoes whipped with butter and cream, green bean casserole with those crispy fried onions Kieran loved as a kid, pumpkin pie from scratch, the crust so flaky it would make you weep. I set the table for 9 people. Good china, silver candlesticks, 2 small chairs for Mason and Lily, my grandchildren, 9 and 6 years old. I even bought new placemats with little snowflakes on them. The house smelled like Christmas, like home, like family. 7 o'clock came, then 7:30. I stood in my kitchen wearing the apron Sienna gave me 10 years ago for Father's Day. World's best dad, in faded blue letters. And I waited. By 8 o'clock, I'd checked my phone 14 times. No missed calls. No texts explaining they were running late. Traffic on I-5 can be terrible on Christmas Eve. I told myself that's all it was. Traffic. At 8:15, my phone buzzed. Finally, I thought. But it wasn't a call. It was the family group chat. New messages. I picked up my phone. Sienna had written, "Seriously, do we have to go? Old man's unbearable. Nobody wants to spend Christmas with him." Preston replied, "I told Viv we'd be at her parents' place. She'll kill me if I bail." Kieran added, "He'll guilt trip us anyway. Let him eat alone." Then he added a laughing emoji. My youngest son, laughing at the idea of me eating Christmas dinner alone. I read it once, read it again, read it a 3rd time, as if repetition might rearrange the words into something less cruel. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. When Margot left, I'd collapsed in the hospital hallway where her mother died. Couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't function for days. This felt different, colder, cleaner, like something breaking that had been cracked for years, finally giving way, not with a bang but with a whisper. I looked at my dining room. 9 place settings, candles waiting to be lit. Those 2 small chairs positioned so carefully so Mason and Lily could reach the table. All of it prepared for people who were laughing about letting me eat alone. Bing Crosby was singing "I'll Be Home for Christmas" on the radio, and the irony nearly broke me. Nearly. Instead, I scrolled through my contacts, found Jordan Reeves, 25 years old, tech-savvy, son of my chess buddy Gideon. I'd helped him out last year when he lost his job, let him stay in my guest room rent-free for 2 months while he got back on his feet. He told me once, after his own father died of cancer when Jordan was 18, "You're more of a dad to me than my own was in his last 5 years." I called him. He answered on the second ring. "Mr. Thatcher?" "Jordan, I need your help tonight. Can you come over?" A pause. "Is everything okay? Can you come?" 20 minutes. He arrived at 8:30 with a backpack full of equipment. When he saw me still in my apron, the full table set behind me, his face darkened with concern. "Mr. Thatcher, what's going on?" I handed him my phone, showed him the group chat messages. He read them, jaw tightening with each word. "I need you to set up a camera," I said quietly. "I'm going to eat Christmas dinner, and I want people to see it." His eyes widened. "Like, live stream it?" "Exactly." He didn't ask why. Maybe he saw something in my face that told him not to. Instead, he unpacked his phone, a small ring light, a wireless microphone. He positioned everything carefully, the shot framed to show me, the full table, the empty chairs, those 2 small seats for grandchildren who would never sit in them tonight. "Which platform?" he asked. "Whichever reaches the most people." He nodded, typed something on his phone. "Going live in 3, 2, 1. The red light appeared. 847 people watching. I sit down at the head of the table, surrounded by 9 empty place settings. The turkey steams. Candles flicker. The viewer count climbs past 5,000. "Good evening," I say to the camera, to the strangers who are actually here. "My name is Donovan Thatcher. I'm 59 years old. Tonight is Christmas Eve, and I prepared this meal for my family. My 3 children, my daughter-in-law, and my 2 grandchildren." I gesture to the empty chairs. But as you can see, I'm eating alone. I carve the turkey slowly, methodically, the way I've carved thousands of turkeys in my career, the way I taught Preston to carve when he was 12, Kieran when he was 10. Sienna never wanted to learn, said it was gross. "I'm not telling you this for sympathy," I continue, serving myself a slice of perfectly golden meat. "I'm telling you because maybe someone else out there is sitting at a table like this, wondering if they're wrong for feeling hurt." I pause. "You're not wrong. You're human." The comments flood in faster now. "This is breaking my heart. Those kids should be ashamed. I'm calling my dad right now." "Here's what I learned tonight," I say, meeting the camera's eye. "I spent 35 years being the dependable guy, the reliable dad, the ATM. Somewhere along the way, I forgot that I'm also a person, that I also deserve respect." I take a bite of turkey. It's perfect. Nobody here to taste it but me and 23,000 strangers. Viewer count, 31,847, then 45,203, then 68,421. "Merry Christmas," I say softly, "to everyone watching who's alone tonight, to everyone who's been taken for granted, to everyone who finally chose themselves." Jordan ends the stream at 9:47, the final viewer count, 127,483. He looks at me, his face unreadable. "Mr. Thatcher, I think that's going to go viral." "Good," I say, and I mean it. Christmas morning, my phone woke me up, not my alarm, the buzzing, constant, furious, like a hive of angry bees. I reached for it, squinting at the screen. Notifications, hundreds. No, thousands. Messages, emails, comments, all flooding in faster than I could process. The video from last night had 5 million views. I sat up, fully awake now. My quiet Christmas dinner had become something massive, unstoppable. Comments scrolled endlessly. Most were kind, furious on my behalf. Others had tagged news outlets, and they'd responded. Headlines filled my feed. Elderly father eats Christmas alone after children mock him. Seattle chef's lonely dinner goes viral. Family group chat exposes children's cruelty. Someone had recognized my last name, found Preston's LinkedIn profile, investment banker at a major Seattle firm. From there, Kieran's failed business pages, Sienna's Instagram with its carefully curated perfection. Screenshots spread like wildfire across every platform. These are the ungrateful children. Imagine treating your father like this. Then I saw it. The screenshot of our family group chat, the messages from Christmas Eve. Old man's unbearable. Nobody wants to spend Christmas with him. That laughing emoji. Public now. Proof this wasn't fiction or exaggeration. It was cruelty, documented. Someone must have asked Jordan for proof. He'd shared that screenshot. I hadn't asked him to, but I hadn't stopped him either. By noon, 8.7 million views. My phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Thatcher? This is Malcolm Sterling. I'm an attorney here in Seattle. I've been following your story. I'm not suing anyone, I said automatically. That's not why I'm calling. His voice was calm, measured, professional. We need to discuss your estate, protecting your assets. Protecting them from what? From people who might suddenly want to reconcile. People named Preston, Kieran, and Sienna Thatcher. A cold understanding settled over me. I see. I can meet today or the day after Christmas. Sooner is better. Tomorrow, December 27th, 10 a.m. 2 days later, I sat in Malcolm Sterling's office on the 15th floor of a glass tower downtown. Chrome furniture, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle's gray skyline. I'd brought a folder of documents, will, property deeds, bank statements, everything he'd requested. My phone rang as Malcolm was reviewing the papers. Preston. I almost let it go to voicemail. Then I answered. Dad. His voice was tight, strained. You need to take down that video right now. It was a live stream, Preston. I can't undo what 8 million people have already seen. 8 million? A strangled sound. Do you realize what you've done? People are attacking me online. My boss called me this morning, on the day after Christmas. He said the bank can't have employees tied to public scandals. Vivienne's parents won't even look at me. Malcolm pushed papers across his desk. Trust documents. New will. I kept the phone to my ear. What do you want, Preston? For you to fix this. Post something. Say it was a misunderstanding. That we had other plans and you took it the wrong way. I could, I said slowly, picking up the pen Malcolm offered. But it would be a lie. And I'm done lying for you. Dad, please. You worried about your network. I worried about my family for 12 years. I signed the first page of the new will. Preston, Kieran, and Sienna, $1 each. The legal minimum Washington state requires, everything else to charity. Trust funds for Mason and Lily, $200,000 each, untouchable by their parents until they're 25. Kieran texted, Dad, pick up, please, urgent. Sienna left a voicemail. Daddy, this is really unfair. You're ruining my life. Malcolm said quietly, your assets will go into trust. Grandchildren protected. The 3 adults get nothing except the debts they haven't repaid. I signed the last page. My phone kept buzzing. I turned off the ringer. Done, Malcolm? Done, Van. Your assets are protected. For the first time in 12 years, I felt something like peace. The consequences came fast, natural. I didn't cause them, just stopped protecting my kids from them. Preston. HR investigation launched within days. Clients threatening to pull accounts. By January 3rd, Forced resignation. Vivian filed for divorce. Turned out she'd been hiding money for years in separate accounts. The house in Ballard went up for sale. Mason and Lily asking their father why he doesn't live with them anymore. Kieran. Investors pulled out of his latest venture within a week. Complete shutdown. Debt collectors calling about the $85,000 he owed me, plus $40,000 he owed to venture capitalists. He got a job as a line cook at a small restaurant in Ballard. $16 an hour, the first honest work he'd done in years. Sienna. Every brand deal paused pending review. Her follower count dropped from 180,000 to 110,000 in 2 weeks and kept falling. Eviction notice on her Pearl District apartment. Last I heard, she was couch surfing with friends, had applied at Powell's Books for $15 an hour. The internet doesn't forget. The internet doesn't forgive. But I wasn't celebrating. I was just tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of being hurt. Tired of carrying their weight. My phone rang again as I left Malcolm's office that day. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Mr. Thatcher, this is Audrey Harding. I'm a producer with Savoring Life, a cooking and lifestyle streaming network. I saw your video. 20 million people have seen it by now, I said. She laughed, warm and genuine. Yes, we'd love to discuss a series with you. Cooking and storytelling. Real conversations about family, boundaries, what it means to choose yourself. I'll need to think about it, of course. But Van, may I call you Van? Your story matters. People connected with your honesty. That's rare. 3 days later, I called her back. I'm in. 6 months changed everything. Late January, I stood in a studio kitchen under lights brighter than I'd expected, but somehow, it felt like coming home. Audrey's voice in my earpiece. Van, camera 2, 30 seconds. The first episode of Savoring Life aired February 1st. I told my story while making my mother's lemon herb roasted chicken, the same recipe I'd taught my children when they were small. Food isn't just sustenance, I said to the camera. It's memory. It's love. And sometimes it's the last conversation you'll ever have with someone. 8 million people watched. Working with Audrey was easy in ways I hadn't expected. She was 52, divorced 3 years, no children of her own. She understood loss, not the kind I'd experienced, but loss nonetheless. Her ex-husband had chosen his career over their marriage. She'd chosen herself afterward. We worked late hours editing episodes, testing recipes, debating whether a story was too raw or not raw enough. She laughed at my jokes. I appreciated her directness. There was no pretense between us. I listed my house in early January, the one where I'd raised Preston, Kieran, and Sienna, where Margot and I had danced in the kitchen on our 20th anniversary. By mid-February, it sold. $680,000. After agent fees and closing costs, $640,000 in my account. I bought a 2-bedroom apartment in Fremont. Smaller, modern, with huge windows facing Puget Sound. It was mine, no ghosts, no obligations, just possibility. February 20th, I threw a housewarming party. Gideon brought wine. Roland brought his famous potato salad. Connie brought flowers and a fierce hug. Jordan came with his new girlfriend, Amy. Audrey stayed late, helping me clean up, moving around my kitchen like we'd been doing this for years. To new beginnings. Gideon had toasted earlier, raising his glass in my tiny living room. At one point, Roland pulled me aside. Van, I haven't seen you this alive since before Margot left. You're free. I looked around my new apartment at the life I'd built from wreckage. Yeah, I am. Late February, my phone rang. Preston, home on the caller ID. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the screen. Then I answered. Hello, Grandpa. A small voice, young, uncertain. Mason? My throat tightened. Yeah, it's me. A pause. I miss you. Can I come visit you sometime? Just me and Lily? Dad said it's okay if you say yes. I closed my eyes, Took a breath. Of course, buddy. Anytime you want. Really? Really? Okay, I'll ask Dad to bring us soon. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too, Mason. He hung up. I sat there, holding the phone, staring at the blank screen, feeling something crack open in my chest. Not my children. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But their children. The innocent ones. The ones who didn't choose any of this. 2 weeks later, 3 letters arrived at my doorstep. Handwritten, real stamps. Not texts, not emails. Letters. One from Preston, one from Kieran, one from Sienna. Mason must have told them I'd agreed to see the kids. That was their trigger to finally write. I didn't open them for 3 days. Made coffee, sat by my window overlooking the sound, looked at those envelopes, wondering if I was ready. When I finally opened them, I found apologies. Real ones. Preston's letter was 8 pages. I'm sorry, 47 times. Details about therapy, about Mason asking, why doesn't Grandpa come anymore? About realizing he'd become the man he swore he'd never be. Offering $500 a month for 20 years to repay the $120,000. One sentence I couldn't forget. You taught me responsibility. I forgot everything except taking. Kieran's letter was shorter, rawer. I used you. Every startup failed because I didn't want to work hard. I wanted shortcuts. Line cook now. First honest thing I've done in years. You were right about everything. Sienna's letter had many crossed out words. I don't know how to apologize because I don't know what I'm sorry for yet. I just know I hurt you. I deleted social media, working at a bookstore, learning what real life looks like. It's hard, but it's real. I folded the letters carefully, set them on the table, didn't reply immediately. Gideon asked me over chess one Tuesday afternoon, "Will you forgive them?" I already did, I said, moving my knight. The night I went live. But forgiveness doesn't mean erasing consequences. They need to earn their way back. Not with money, with time. What if they never do? I looked out the window of Fletcher's coffee shop at the Seattle rain. Then I'll still be okay. In May, I called Preston. We met for lunch at a quiet diner. He cried. I didn't. I said, "You have 20 years to pay back $120,000, $500 a month. Nothing's free anymore." He nodded, wiping his eyes. I understand, Dad. That's fair. The first payment arrived June 1st. He hasn't missed one since. June 15th, I met Mason and Lily at a park near Green Lake. They spotted me from across the grass and sprinted, crashing into me with tight arms. Mason had grown, 9 years old now, nearly to my chest. Lily was 6, gap-toothed and grinning. Dad's different now, Mason said proudly. He makes pancakes every Sunday, reads to us, even came to my soccer game. He teaches us how to cook, Lily added. Like you. My throat tightened. That's wonderful. Lily's face turned serious. Are you still mad at Daddy? I knelt, meeting her eyes. No, sweetheart, I'm not mad, but things are different now, and that's okay. Different how? In a good way, I said. We're learning how to love each other better. She nodded, satisfied. We played for hours, swings, slides, stories. When Preston came to pick them up, we nodded from a distance. He mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded back. I told him on the phone, "You're welcome in my life, but you're no longer the center of it. I have friends, Audrey, my work, myself. You're part of my life, not all of it." He'd paused. I understand, Dad. That's fair. It was. Christmas came again, 1 year after the live stream that changed everything. I stood in my Fremont apartment kitchen wearing a new apron, the one Audrey gave me for my birthday. The table was set for 8 people this time. Smaller, more intimate, 1 empty chair. At 6 o'clock, they started arriving. Jordan and Amy, Gideon with expensive wine and cheap jokes. Roland and Connie with their warmth and potato salad. Audrey carrying her famous tiramisu and a smile that still made my heart skip. Mason and Lily came too, for 2 hours, supervised visit. Preston waited in the hallway outside. Boundaries. We ate, we laughed, we told stories. Mason showed me a drawing he'd made, me, cooking, stick figure style. Lily asked if she could help make dessert next time. The empty chair sat at the table like a quiet reminder. "Grandpa," Mason asked, pointing at it, "why is there a chair with nobody?" I knelt to his eye level. "That's for people who aren't ready to be here yet, but maybe someday will be. Like Daddy? Like Daddy. Can we stay longer next time? Next time, sweetheart." When it was time for them to leave, I walked them to the door. Preston stood in the hallway, not entering, respecting the boundary. "Thanks for letting me see them," he said quietly. "You saw them. Not for you. For them. They didn't choose this." "I know." He hesitated. "Merry Christmas, Dad." "Merry Christmas, Preston." No hug, but a nod, an acknowledgement, something like peace. Inside, Audrey refilled wine glasses. Jordan told stories about his new film project. Gideon won at chess, again. Connie's laugh filled the room. My phone buzzed. Text from Preston. "Hope someday I can sit in that chair." I read it, smiled faintly, set the phone down face down on the counter. Didn't reply. Boundaries. Audrey looked at me from across the kitchen. "You okay?" I looked around the table. 7 people who chose to be here, not from obligation, not from guilt, because they wanted to be. I'm better than I ever thought I could be. Last year, I ate alone in front of 847 strangers. This year, I'm eating with 7 people I love and who love me. That's enough. If you're reading this and recognize yourself, the man who always gives, always provides, always is the dependable guy but nobody sees, here's what I learned. You are not selfish for wanting respect. You are not cruel for setting boundaries. You are not wrong for choosing yourself. I spent years hoping my kids would see my worth when I should have seen it myself. Don't wait for Christmas dinner alone to realize it. Margot told me once, during one of our last real conversations, "You're too soft on them, Van. They'll eat you alive." She was right. But being soft wasn't the mistake. Losing myself was. Love your children fiercely, but never lose yourself in the process. Your value isn't measured by how much they need you. It's inherent. Boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges to healthier relationships. Forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation on their terms. Wholeness matters more than togetherness. Choose yourself before it's too late. Audrey came up behind me, wrapped her arms around my waist, rested her chin on my shoulder. Through the window, Seattle lights flickered across the dark water of Puget Sound. Inside, my friends laughed. The empty chair remained, a promise and a boundary both. Mason's drawing hung on my refrigerator. Lily's gap-toothed smile lived in my phone. Some stories end with everyone together. Mine ended with me whole, and I discovered that whole is enough. Maybe someday it becomes more than enough, but I'm not waiting for that day to be happy. I'm happy now. That's what they never understood, what I had to learn. Happiness isn't something your children give you. It's something you give yourself. And once you learn that lesson, nothing can take it away. Not even them. You're not alone. And you're worth choosing.